What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my page. Today we're going to go straight into how to create an effective workout routine for fat loss that not only fits with your schedule, it's evidence-based, but it's sustainable and it's going to get you to your goals. I wish I had this guide when I first started because I was the type of guy to listen to everyone with really good genetics and not get the results that I was expecting to get. I also listened to all the bro science too, so this saved me a crap ton of time and I hope it does for you too. First, we'll go over creating a goal and setting one properly with realistic expectations. Then we're gonna go into your goal and how to set it up with an evidence-based approach so that you're not wasting any time. And lastly, it's gonna fit your schedule so that it's more sustainable for you long-term. If it's your first time here, my name is Alan Jaramillo, a CPT based out of Houston, Texas, and I like to make fitness very simple for people to understand. Without further ado, let's get started. All right, let's set your goal properly now. Most PTs learn it this way. We want to set a SMART goal. Now, what a SMART goal is, it's a specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound goal. A bad example of this is I want to lose weight. There's no number attached to that, no timeline attached to that, there's no expectations that we can attach to that because it's just a bland blanket statement. A good example would be I want to lose 20 pounds in 6 months. It's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, it's realistic, and it's something that you can measure progress with since we're talking about pounds. Once we have this goal, we go straight into step 2. What boxes do we need to check off to make sure that this is actually specific towards fat loss and it's going to help us get results? When I'm programming for a client, these are 3 different variables that I look at to measure progress and make sure that we're moving forward. Number 1 is muscle building workouts. And there's 3 parts of this. What is the client's previous dieting experience? Establishing a calorie deficit, and 3, muscle building workouts. The reason that we want to look at a client's previous dieting experience, and that's why we're talking about this in the first place before we even build out your plan, is because that can severely change the plan. If you're coming from dieting all the time, super restrictive dieting mindset, your metabolism is adapted to lower calories because you've done a lot of yo-yo dieting, you are not ready for a fat loss phase right now, and we need to approach it a lot differently. That's why it's important to understand what your previous dieting experience is before we even set the goal in the first place. Let's paint a picture here. I've had plenty of clients come to me with this all or nothing dieting mindset. They're really on track Monday through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's just totally, off the walls with either drinking, overconsumption in calories, binging, falling off on the weekends. And if you try and approach a diet from that position, what's going to end up happening is that you're just going to end up finding a more unrealistic and restrictive approach. Instead, we need to focus about, okay, how can we make this sustainable to the individual? How can we pick a diet that aligns with your weekends and your weekdays? And how can we find a calorie number that's sustainable for you to actually feel like you're making progress and not wanting to fall off the diet? Because the only reason that you're going haywire on the weekends and gaining all that weight back, preventing yourself from making progress, is simply because it's unsustainable for you. Once we have that idea established of whether or not you're ready for a dieting phase, in this example, let's just say that you've taken time off from dieting, you've gone to maintenance calories, then we can establish a calorie deficit. Calorie deficit is very simple to understand. Everyone has a baseline number of calories. All we need to do to establish a calorie deficit is eat below that maintenance number of calories. There is 3,500 calories in 1 pound. So if we are looking at establishing a calorie deficit that allows us to lose about 1 pound a week, we're looking at subtracting 500 from your maintenance calories, and that'll give us our starting point to start losing about 1 pound a week. Now, everyone's gonna be a little bit different here. So if you lose a little bit more than 1 pound, if you don't, just be patient, okay? A lot of results coming from any type of fitness program, you have to factor in time and letting your body have time to adjust. Now in this video, we're not gonna be getting into the specific macros. That's a whole nother video in and of itself. And if you wanna see that, just comment down below and I can go ahead and create that video for you. Also, make sure that you give this video a like if it's helpful so far. Now let's think back to our original goal. The original goal is to have a more toned look, okay? That means muscle tissue, definition with that, muscle retention during a fat loss phase, as well as losing body fat. Now that we've established what we're gonna be doing on the nutrition side of things, we can now go into the training protocol and what's gonna be adjusted to ensure that you are retaining muscle tissue during this fat loss phase, because that's the only way that you're gonna be able to get more of that toned look. So a lot of people, like, if you want this thinner skin, if you want a leaner look overall, it's gonna come from building muscle first and then shedding body fat. When building a workout program, the simplest way that I know how to explain this is to just look at the key 6 variables that you're gonna be able to adjust on a monthly basis, weekly basis, and these are gonna be kind of like different levers that you're pulling to ensure that you are actually moving things forward and tracking them correctly. Number 1 is gonna be load. How much weight are you actually lifting? Number 2 is gonna be volume. So how many sets are you doing a week? Number 3 is gonna be rest times. How much rest are you taking in between sets? This is actually a very important variable depending on how you want to stimulate the muscle. Number 4 is going to be exercise selection. So the exercises that you are picking to grow a certain body part. Number 5 is going to be proximity to failure. So how hard you're actually training and how close you're getting to that failure point where your muscles cannot support load anymore. And number 6 is frequency. So how often are you hitting these muscle groups throughout your training week? Now, to make this extremely simple, I'm just gonna list this stuff out to make sure that you're checking it off as you build out your workout program. So let's get started. Let's establish volume first. So we're looking at 10 sets per week per muscle group. And this is with taking a set until failure. So if you're not quite there yet, you can go a little bit higher than 10 sets per week. You might want to start at 15. And then once that intensity builds up, you're actually going to get more from less. Load is going to be relative to the stimulus that you're in. I mean, we can pick anywhere from like 5 all the way up to 20 reps. So my biggest recommendation for you to not overcomplicate this is just to start on a rep range, and then every 2 to 3 months, you can increase the rep range a little bit. You can change between rep ranges based on kind of like what your emphasis is going to be. Just to make this super simple, for the next 8 to 12 weeks, you can simply just stick between the 8 to 12 rep range and start at 8 for every movement and work your way up over time each week. So week 1, you would do 8 reps. Week 2, you can try and do 9 reps. Week 3, you can try and do 10 reps. And once you get to 12, you'll then increase the weight and start with a higher weight at a lower rep range at the 8 mark. When it comes to rest times, a super simple rest time to stick to is 60 to 90 seconds. If we're looking at anything in the 3 to 5 minute mark, that's going to be more biased towards strength training, because you really need that recovery period to be able to perform at that super high intensity. But since we're building muscle right now, we do not need a 3 to 5 minute rest time between each set unless it's a super heavy compound. In terms of frequency, beginners will be able to train each body part with the appropriate intensity, that is, 1 time a week, okay? So if you want to do 1 to 2 times a week to set up your frequency, that is a good place to start. For frequency, beginners can get away with training body part 1 time a week, okay? Contrary to popular belief, you can still make gains training a body part 1 time a week. You just have to make sure that the intensity is there. Exercise selection is very simple. You want to pick your set of movements that are going to allow you to do the movement comfortably with stability, and pick movements that actually give you the best chance to overload them with weight in a safe way. But you do not want to change your program every week, every day, every month. You do not need to do that, because it's not going to give you time to get good at these movements. So I would stick with the same workout program for at least 8 weeks at a time, and you can even do 12 weeks too before you change anything. So pick 2 to 4 exercises that you're going to be focusing on each week for each muscle group. And last but not least, proximity to failure. You have to understand that, like, if you're not training with the enough intensity once you get up to a higher level, your muscles will not grow. And this is a whole nother video on its own, but I literally see kids every single day. They treat their bench, they treat their squat serious, they look like they're struggling, and then I see them on the tricep cable machine literally just like fluffing and pumping the weight. That is not gonna build you dense tissue. It's not gonna give you the intensity that you need to make this work, okay? So you need to treat every set very seriously, and a good rule of thumb that I tell people, just to make it very simple, your first 1 to 2 sets, train with pretty close proximity to failure, but your third one should be where you're taking to that set to a higher level of intensity where your muscles are actually failing, if not close to failure, on the very last rep. Now, before I move on, let's talk about science-based approaches. Now, being a trainer for the last 5 to 6 years has taught me one thing, that the science is not always right, because there's always more optimal ways to do things and all that stuff, but you have to always run that through a filter of what you're going through personally, your stress, your sleep, your schedule. What's optimal for you may not be optimal for someone else. And optimal is a very subjective word based on how you're doing personally, how your life is going personally, and just because the science says to do this thing doesn't mean that you should do it always. Now that we know everything that we need to have in our muscle building workouts, let's go ahead and fit this into your schedule. We need to know how many days you can feasibly get to the gym, not how many days you feel you need to go to the gym, but we can usually start anywhere from 3 to 6 days a week in the gym just to start. And remember, you can always ramp this up unless you get to the point where you're training every day. That's not going to be the most optimal thing, but you need to understand that you do not need to start at 6 days a week. You can start at 3 and build up over time, but it has to fit with your schedule. If you commit to a 6-day-a-week workout routine and you only show up for 4 days, you're going to be neglecting a large group of muscles that you're not spending enough time to because of how your split is set up. So it's much better for you to pick 4, stay consistent with that, instead of doing 6 because you feel like that's gonna work better for you and only showing up to 4 to 5. What is going on, guys? Welcome to the bonus section of this video where I give you a little bit more than just the 3 major topics that we talked about so far. I wanna dive into a little bit more about training intensity, okay? And the reason why I wanna dive into this is because I see it as one of the most overlooked things when people are creating a training program and just executing a training program in general. So on the screen right now, you got 2 videos. You have me doing tricep extensions with about 4 to 5 reps in the tank on the left, and then on the right, you're gonna see what it looks like for the muscles to actually experience going close to failure. Now, the problem with most training programs is that they work, right? But no one is training to that upper intensity that you need to actually stimulate growth. And that's the biggest thing that I want you to get out of this bonus right here, is that you can do all the correct splits, the correct workout routines. You can pick the best thing that you see your favorite influencer online, but if there is an intensity attached to this workouts, you will not experience the results that you need over time. And this has to go beyond just your major compounds. A lot of people actually do this for their bench, their squat, whatever other movements that they're doing, like barbell rows or something like that for your back, or deadlifts even. But you need to apply this to other movements that you're training once you get up to that certain level. And that's the biggest thing that I want you to get out of this bonus section. So let's get back to the video. So you're probably asking yourself, where do I go from here with all this information? The very first thing that I want you to do is I want you to go back to the list of variables that you should be controlling and screenshot that. That's going to give you the best clear cut and dry way to know where you're going to be moving forward. Then you're going to pick how many days a week you want to train. As an example, I'm going to pick 5 days a week just to show you guys. All you're going to do is take up your total volume of sets that you're going to be lifting per week, and you're going to divide that by the number of gym sessions that you're going to be able to feasibly go to. This is known as your workout split, and a lot of people get caught up on the workout splits. Here's what I'll tell you. I always listen to people who said push-pull legs, upper lower, all this stuff. And I tell you, I don't follow that right now. And the main reason why is because a lot of these splits that are popularized on the internet that I listened to growing up are not necessarily the best thing for you, okay? If you are prioritizing certain muscle groups over others because of genetic strong points, you need to understand that you are your own person. So take the time to ask yourself, what muscle groups am I struggling to grow? What muscle groups do I want to prioritize prioritize over others. A really big example is everyone hits pull workouts, and then their biceps comes after their pulling movements. And what ends up happening is that, by default, by putting the biceps last, you will be prioritizing your back more than anything else. And a lot of people want to bring up their arms. And the same thing goes for a push workout too. You're usually hitting triceps last instead of in the beginning. So there's an example there, but you want to make sure that you're changing this to your strong points and matching it to what weak points you want to build up. Yes, a lot of pushing muscles can be worked in the same workout. Definitely wise to do that. A lot of pulling workouts, can be grouped in the same workout. Yes, you're right. But don't be afraid to spend time isolating certain muscle groups that you really want to build up. Having a separate arm day, doing a reverse pull workout where you're doing biceps first instead of back to build up that weak point. After you've now divided up your sets per week and you have a split, we're simply just gonna look to check off the other boxes. So we wanna pick a weight that we can get within close proximity to failure in the 8 to 12 rep range, as well as rest times between 60 to 90 seconds. You can push it to 2 if you want. This is just a staple for you to just start out with, and then you can change that variable over time. Having a longer rest time is not gonna hurt you when it comes to building muscle. It's just a place for you to start. And choosing exercises that are trackable and safe to progress in. That brings us to the end of this video. So if you are looking for more of a customized approach and you're looking for someone to put you on a plan, hold you accountable, and build something out for you that's tailored to your body, then click the link below for my online coaching program. I've been working with people for more than 5 years now, and I understand what it takes to get you down in body fat, but also really build that more toned look, okay? So if you're looking for that, click the link down below to apply, then you'll hop on a call with us and we'll go from there. If you wanna see more videos like this, or you wanna see more videos about what I personally do, drop it down below, drop it in the comments, and remember, gently destroy the like button because YouTube will not promote this video unless you do. So help a brother out. If you guys have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you guys on the next one.